Welcome to another episode of Soccerheads New England. You can check us out at soccerheadsnewengland.com, soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. Share us, like us. I'm Dave Rattigan, alongside Paul Nardizzi and Jim Ruberti, and we are the Soccerheads New England with our engineer, Dale Lawrence, here to talk about all things soccer, including actually slipping into real events in the real world this week, unfortunately. We're going to talk about the Revs opening this season. We're going to talk about the U.S. women's national soccer team coming to a new agreement with U.S. Soccer for equitable pay. We're going to talk about the Ukraine and the war in the Ukraine and what it means in the world of soccer. We're also going to have something that Paul's going to report from News of the Soccer World. And we were going to get Diego Fagundes. And he might show up. Am I correct about this, Paul? He might still call in?
I was hoping he was going to call in.
Okay.
Through a conduit that I have. He's not. I don't think he's going to, but
I know why. Because he said he was going to wait until Dave pronounced his last name right. Before he
Did I mispronounce his name?
Give it another shot and we'll tell you.
Huh?
Give it another shot.
Diego?
That's a good one.
Fagundes.
Oh!
That's what I said.
No, you didn't.
That's
you
what
said
I said.
Fagundes, like he was carrying.
No, Fagundes.
Okay.
I don't know what's the problem with you. What?
But I think our listener would like to hear what the interview would have sounded like had we had Diego.
Had he called in?
Because we're not
gonna
even keel. We don't suck up to the pro athletes.
No, we don't. We treat the pro athletes. We don't treat them special, which is why they don't come on.
Which is why they like us, because we're just down to earth.
Yeah. So what would it sound like?
If we had Diego on, Diego would have called in right now. It would have just been like, "Hey, Diego,
Lawrence,
hey,
I'm
talking to him.
I
guess
when you went to London
in the third grade,
I loved it.
You're not even on the cast. Why are you asking questions?
Oh, all right, I'm sorry.
I got it on bobblehead night, and it's still in my living room.
So that's what you missed.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Diego's actually the third all-time leading scorer for the Revs.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm a trivia buff. If he retired today, I think this is true. I'll look it up. He would be the only guy on the top 3 all-time on 2 franchises because Austin's only been in existence 1 year.
Yep.
And he scored, I think, 6 goals last year, which was like 2 or 3 on the team. So he'd be the only guy in MLS history to be on the leading scoring chart, top 3 on 2 different franchises.
I think he didn't call because he was upset about the last game. Because Austin scored 5 goals and he didn't got an assist.
He didn't even get an assist?
No, he got an assist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's out practicing.
He's trying to work on
he's taking shots.
Yeah.
He's trying to work on his game.
Yes,
Is that what he does?
I think that's what he's doing.
I don't know why he didn't call, but it's too bad. Yeah, he was. I can even tell you this: Shari Joseph is in the top 3, isn't he?
He's about 8th, but
is he?
I'm
not even close. I'm not even close.
I coached against Shari Joseph a couple times.
Did you really?
Yeah, my son played briefly for his club.
Yeah.
Shari Joseph FC, coincidentally, was what it was called. And then I formed my own club, and I faced him. Really nice guy, like on the field. And
great player.
Yeah.
Great player. All right, let's talk about all of this. But first,
we're going
to get to your favorite part. This is Paul's favorite part of the show. We got to plug our sponsors. Soccerheads New England is sponsored by financial advisor Rick Spencer. Do you want your child to have the best opportunities life has to offer? If college is in their future and you haven't won Powerball yet, you should have a financial game plan, and who better to give you the financial game plan than Rick Spencer? He does seminars for free for teams, for leagues, for other organizations, and he's also my financial advisor. And because of Rick, Paul, I am ready to buy an MLS team. I just need a loan from Jim Ruberti. So, if ever come speak to your group or to have Rick do anything, just give him a call, 978-857-7573. Also, if your league, team, or club needs to raise a little bit of money, have a great time doing it, you should call us for the Soccerheads Experience. It's a soccer-themed comedy show with all kinds of bells and whistles, and we'll maximize your profit and give your community a great time. Just send us an email at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
And
Jim will answer Jim, check the email inbox while you're over there.
Jim, one of these days, he'll check the emails and things will change. Let's talk about...
Before we get to this, I just want to ask Dale, who's a resident here of this town, As I was driving here, I saw a guy out on a walk, right? Very normal. But he's carrying his ski poles with him.
Ski poles, yep.
Can we... I don't see this in other towns. Can we just pick one or the other? Isn't this like saying I want to go snowmobiling today, but the snow isn't good, so I'm going to walk around town with my dipstick? Like, what are you doing?
You sure he didn't have
like an idiot.
He didn't have his cross-country ski poles with him?
He did, but no skis. He's just walking with poles.
Oh, as a former police officer, I might think he might go hurt someone with that. That's a possible weapon. There could have been a weapons assault, Paul. This is in progress.
And so if you're wondering why he's no longer a police officer, that's why, because he sees walking sticks and thinks...
Immediately jumps to weaponry.
It's probably something
where he's being safe. He's trying to protect us.
Yes, he is. He's trying to protect us from the man with the walking sticks.
It's a weird area. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
And the more money people have, the weirder they become.
Maybe he's got a walking issue. Maybe he's a little older. Maybe he's got ambulatory issues.
But he wasn't using them to walk. He was just carrying them.
Well,
as if to show, like, I'm a skier, but I'm out for a walk.
Are you sure that they were?
I'm a comedian. I'm going to walk around with a microphone.
Are you sure there were skiing poles? Maybe.
They were.
I'm going to come by and walk with a toboggan. I think I'm just going to walk down the street.
Yeah, you think he was a homeless guy? You could have stolen him somewhere.
No, well-dressed guy. Actually got out of the way so I could go down the street. He was a gentleman, but just looked like a buffoon.
Wow. He was a gentleman and a buffoon. That's actually what Jim's going to have put on his tombstone. Here lies Jim Ruberti,
after you kill him,
and a buffoon.
No. I'm being cremated, and my ashes are going to be thrown all over Elizabeth Warren. I've already got that. That's already written down.
You know something? I think
didn't I say no politics in this?
Yeah,
you did. I'm sorry. That just blurted out. I'm sorry. I can't resist.
I like the idea that I'll tell you what's going to kill him. If he actually walks down the street with a toboggan, the exertion will do him in.
Yeah, when you said somebody was walking, it was normal. That's where you threw me off, Paul.
Yeah, okay.
Let's talk about the opener. You watch the opener? Here's the first question I've got. What kind of a respectable league in an outdoor sport starts its season in February?
Tells you they're tough, Dave. Soccer players are tough.
That's not tough. That's maniacal. That's silly. That's what's another word for silly and maniacal? Stupid.
The game wasn't at Gillette.
Yeah, but they've got to play. They're only going to play away games and not home games.
I'm just saying, like this particular game. What was the temperature? Did you look it up?
No, but it was cold. You know how I know it was cold?
See, you looked it up, right?
I didn't
care. I was just glad to be watching soccer. All right.
You're not talking about the Revolution, right?
Yeah.
I thought their first game's Saturday. What am I talking about?
What's that?
No, they played Portland on Saturday night.
They played Portland here?
At Portland.
No, at Portland.
Right. Portland's only, 40 degrees? That's plenty.
Yeah,
You're good.
They were cold. They were cold. You know how I know? The Gio Savanese, is that his name, the coach?
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Gio Savanese, I gotta tell you.
Oh, man, do I hate that guy.
He had his wool hat on, his Nike wool hat, and he had his matching scarf.
Yeah.
And he's a very expressive face, and he's got, I don't know, where's he from originally? Germany or I don't know where he's from, but he's got that accent. And
I know if you've heard this podcast, people, Paul usually picks out one person a show to hate. So when he says he hates somebody, this is not an uncommon.
It's funny when he said his name, like the first thing that popped in my head was a ski pole, like killing him with a ski pole.
Well, it's funny because he looks like, if you looked at him on the sidelines, all I kept thinking is he looks like a villain in a ski movie from the 1980s.
He did.
He looks like Karate Kid on skis. Karate Kid 9. Yeah. We go to the mountain.
It's funny you say that because the first view I had of him watching the game was from behind, and I thought for a second it was our coach, and I said, please tell me our coach isn't dressed like, looks like an idiot.
No, our coach was walking around like it was still golf season, and he had lost his ball in the rain. I gotta say, Arena was so relaxed. It's really funny to watch the tour, and I've never seen. Arena's a tough read. He looks like he's a sour guy.
Yeah.
But in this particular thing, he had a baseball cap that didn't match what he was wearing, his jacket. He looked like he was just strolling around at a like I said, at a golf course, saying, "Hey, anyone seen my ball? Anyone seen my ball?" But the Revs came out. It was a good game.
Well, you know,
game. They came out with a good tie.
But you know what we can be happy about?
What's going to be happy about?
Those miserable Portland fans sat in that lousy weather for 90 minutes for a 2-2 draw.
It was a great game. It was a really fun game to watch. It was a good example to show people who say that soccer is not a rough physical game, because it was a rough, physical, fast game. I think 3 of the goals were spectacular.
Yeah.
There were a couple of great saves. There were a lot of great plays. Poor Carles Gil got mauled, and
he's used to it. He takes a little beating, and he still keeps taking people on.
You know who I felt bad for? I don't know his first name. Moreno from Portland. That poor guy. He was down. I figured out his signature move. His signature move is he lays on the turf as if he's been shot, and he pounds the turf with his fist because he's in such agony, and such a horrible crime he's been victimized by such a horrible, vicious crime, and yet the referee never seems to see it, nor do we see it on replay. And that poor guy, I mean, was
he the fullback?
No, he was somewhere in the middle. He was a pretty good player. He was in the middle of everything, but he was always down on the ground. He was always pounding the turf. The first time I looked at it, I said, "Oh, this poor guy." And then he was up and he's running around, and I'm like, "That's a miraculous recovery." And he did it again, and I think he did it again.
Pounding the turf used to be an indication that something was torn, but now guys are really hamming that part of it up.
It was so ridiculous. And the whole game, it was like you had 2, fairly rough teams. And, I'm trying to think, McNamara, was it McNamara, I think?
Tommy Mack, my favorite.
For the Revs, and he goes up to the player after he's hurt him. It's all totally accidental. And then you see it on replay and go, wow, it's weird he couldn't get out of the way of that. But it's then he comes up and he's apologizing. I don't know. It's almost like he's a wrestling heel.
Yeah.
And then the other side is again, it's Hulk Hogan. It's pounding.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining, although some would say, not me, because Paul, I never complain about people feigning injury, but some would say that there was a little bit of dramatics going on.
Yeah, there was a little bit.
A little bit.
It got his first goal as a New England Rev. They said it was kind of pretty easy goal, though.
No, I mean, it was a good finish.
Little left foot finish, wide open net.
Yeah, but I mean, like a good run to get in to where the ball was coming.
That was
scored.
I thought that was the one goal where you said, "Oh, the defense messed up because nobody picked them up." But the rest of them, I mean, I can't tell you who did it because I wasn't paying that much attention. But you had a bicycle kick for one of the goals.
That might be goal of the year already in the first week of the season.
That was amazing. Yeah. That was amazing.
I'm having people tell me that Turner would have got to that. No, I don't see anyone getting to that. You would need an arm twice as long as the goalie who's in there.
I would have got it.
You would have got it.
Jim, you know why,
Jim? It wasn't
Jim?
a penalty kick.
I think because post-college, Jim has managed to make himself big.
Yeah.
Yes, I have cat-like reflexes.
I got to say, Earl Edwards played a good game. I mean, the backup goalie called into action, short notice, and I thought he played well.
Yeah. I think, obviously, they know what they're doing at that position.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Turner.
Yeah.
They knew something was there. Arena was a goalie.
They probably knew he was leaving, so they drafted low, but they also picked up a guy who, of course, he hadn't played since 2018, so I don't know how good. I don't know. How good is a guy who doesn't play in game action for 2 years?
Well, they're
Who hasn't played since 2008?
Earl Edwards. That's what they were saying on TV.
He didn't play in college?
No, he had not played in an MLS game for 2 years.
I thought he was the rookie. They just drafted.
No. I know.
Are you sure?
No, of course I'm not sure.
Oh, gosh.
Of course I'm not sure.
But
That's what the announcer said.
Yeah.
That's why I'm believing.
Anyways.
Here's the other thing. This is what I want to talk about. Because I
stall
figured this
while
out.
Paul looks this up and makes a fool out of Dave. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, well,
So this is what they do with the radio stations, right? They have all the access to all the computers.
Yeah.
We don't have any computers here.
We don't have any
Dale has
computers
shut down
here.
all the internet.
You come in here and Dale, because Dale's got us wearing tinfoil hats to protect ourselves, and he shut down all radio contact or internet contact to his living room. And anyway, Dale.
Yeah, no, he's 30 years old. Dave is actually correct.
Oh, I'm correct.
Was the
Look at
rookie
this.
You're absolutely correct, Dave.
I just assumed it was the rookie. Why wouldn't I?
We know, because I'll tell you why. because
tell me why I would assume that.
Well, I thought it might be the rookie, and that's why I looked it up, because I'm not a, I'm not a. So I looked it up, and it makes sense to me. They picked up a veteran, so if things don't work out, the veteran's going to work. You got an opening game. It's a short notice thing. Are you going to go with a 30-year-old mature person, or are you going to go with a first round draft pick or a low draft pick who might get nervous and make a mistake and then have to deal with the confidence issue for the rest of the season or the rest of his career? So it made sense.
You are coming after a tough guy to fill the shoes of. Obviously.
Yes. Yeah. No question.
He actually played for Loudoun United, which is interesting because that's the team that my son Bryant tried out for before he drove to Michigan and ended up with Michigan.
Really?
So he may have crossed paths Mr. Earl Edwards.
So you're saying he might have?
Might have at the tryout.
He might have. Yeah. That's like saying that I once sat in line to get Alexi Lalas's autograph.
Well, today's episode is might haves.
We could have been.
For goodness, might have called in. You might have done something. You might have been funny once. So let me just. It's week one. I'm not going to be like the talk radio where the Red Sox have their opening game, and all of a sudden people are saying, "I thought this guy was an ace." It's like one game.
Yeah. Right.
But I have a few concerns about the Reds.
Oh, you got a few concerns?
A few concerns.
You know what I had a concern about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Portland Timbers. The Portland Timbers have a mascot who's a lumberjack who cuts wood.
I was going to say that too. Worst celebration in sports.
I got to tell you this. I'm watching them. I happen to be doing a story because I work freelance writing. I do work for the Tree Care Industry Association magazine. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing a story on eye protection. And I kept watching the guy. I'm like, the guy's got no eye protection.
Nor do the fans who are nearby.
Right. What if he gets something in the eye?
Yeah.
What if one of these little chips come up and hit him in the eye?
It's the worst goal. So it's akin to the Green Bay Packers scoring a touchdown and a guy taking a piece of cheese and slicing it up. What are you doing?
I agree. If you're going to have a chainsaw, do you really want to waste it on wood?
Use it on Savaries. So here are my concerns, guys. Okay, and this is not game one. This goes back to last season when they lost to NYC.
Yeah, I just want to say this one more time.
This is X and O stuff, so you can.
That's my chainsaw sound.
You can fall asleep if you want, but Jim and I will talk.
I will.
Okay, Jim.
Yes.
Number one, I said Tommy McNamara is too slow for this stuff now.
Yes.
They playing Mexican teams in the CONCACAF next week. He started again. I'm worried. I like Tommy, but I'm worried about.
He's a step behind. It's been a year he's been a step behind. It's probably a step and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right. Number two.
Oh, hold on. That was number one?
That was number one. Number two. If you do that again, I'm going to punch you. Number two. Buxa won the Golden Boot for the Revs. He had the most goals. But early in the year, I think it was Bo had, say, 12 and Buxa had like 4.
Okay.
And then Buxa started getting more and more into the flow. And then what they did is they brought Bo in a little bit behind to be more of a playmaker, creator for him.
Yep.
And Buxa overtook him. I don't see how Bo's going to score anymore. And if I'm Bo, I'm saying, wait a minute, I was the leading scorer for the last year and a half. In fact, his goals expected was like top in the league. Mm-hmm. Like it was a little too high, like Turner's goal save was too high, but it came back down, but it was really high. Now all of a sudden, Books is getting interest from Arsenal and other teams. And Bo's probably saying, why? Because I'm playing under him, I'm not getting the breakaways anymore. I'm the one giving the breakaways. Like if you watch that game the other day, how is Bo going to score?
He is not.
Right. At the end, who are they chipping balls to?
Unless they go up a very weak defensive team, he's not.
Yeah, so is that going to be a problem?
That's going to be a big sideline locker room problem.
It might be.
That could end up in the press, too.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the problem is...
Well, it could be a problem.
He's a selfish soccer player.
Which is, if we had that episode, how I told you soccer was turning into an individual sport.
I wasn't listening.
This is a perfect example of why is he complaining? He's not complaining that he can help the team and win. He's complaining that he's losing the glory by being the Mr. Assist guy.
You want your guys to be selfish, too.
You do want forwards, but you don't want this guy to be selfish.
Right. Yeah.
And he could turn out to become that way and be an angry player and say, I'm not going to help you out.
Yeah. We saw glimpses of it last year where he wouldn't celebrate. So he celebrated the other day, but you're worried.
I was worried about it because he didn't celebrate
previously.
Yeah. But he did celebrate this time? Okay.
He did, yes.
Okay, good.
And then the last thing.
Hold on.
Yeah, here
That's
we go.
your second
Do this
one?
stupid noise.
Don't you dare do that noise again. Dale, get the edit button.
Already done. His mic's been muted for the last 3 minutes.
Give me your pen, Dave, okay? I just want to, so you know what I'm talking about here. So on a soccer field, okay? Here's your penalty box.
Is this the number 3?
Yeah. See this little half circle here?
Yep.
That they have?
Yep.
That is called zone 14.
Okay.
Okay?
Zone
I don't have the
14.
numbers, but let's just say about 70% of the goals come from shots in here or passes from here to the shooter.
Okay.
Remember the little through ball that the guy gave for the goal against the Revs?
That was
Where'd that come from?
From
Zone 14. Say it.
Area 51.
Okay. So
Hey,
the Revs.
can I tell you one thing? I know there's a little bit of a digression,
but
I kept watching Buska. Mm-hmm. I kept looking at Buska because Buska, for some reason, he's
You're moving
6'3".
the K and the S. It's Buxa.
Buxa.
Yeah.
Buxa. Tall guy. Mm-hmm. He's a tall guy, 6'3". And for some reason, he looked very tall to me when I was watching. He's not the tallest guy even on the field. But the point of the matter is I'm watching him and I'm thinking, boy, that Revolution number 9. And then I thought, Revolution number 9. And all I could think about was the Beatles. And I became very happy. And I thought, well, how great that Revolution number 9 is playing in Portland, Oregon.
Come here.
So anyway,
Dale, I'm going to require
you're
a
in
drug
area,
test
you're
before the next podcast.
You're in
Already done again. Done again.
You're in area 14.
Okay, so from people more knowledgeable than me, noticing this, the Revs play a diamond shape, but it's a really wide diamond. It's fat. So you have guys way wide, and then Carlos is up here.
Yes.
This is leaving.
So hold on, just for you people who are listening to this and not watching it because we don't have cameras. Paul has created. He's got a person in midfield.
I can explain this simply.
In the middle of the field, and just outside the offensive box, and then he's got players on the right and the left who would be in the midfield,
but wide. Picture a fat diamond you would give to a girl if Rick Spencer was your financial analyst, compared to a small diamond.
Yes.
So the fat diamond means Polster is in zone 14 all by himself.
Polster is in.
He's the defensive mid.
Okay.
They're getting shredded. That's why they're giving up too many goals.
Okay.
And McNamara, by the way, is one of those wide players who's not fast enough to get back in there on D.
Okay.
It's a concern.
It's a concern that what? That they're a little slow on D, or that they're in this.
That they play a really attacking shape, but it's not going to help defensively, according to those who know more than me.
Okay.
And Polster, by the way, I like him a lot, but he's one of these guys that cannot use his left foot to save his life. Why can't people work on their game as a pro? If you're not good with your left foot at 21, can you be better with it at 25? Is that too much to ask?
Of course, no. You should.
You know, like I'm a comic, right? If I'm killing, and then I switch hands with the mic, doesn't matter. I'm still killing.
Yes,
I'm good with both.
Yeah, you're good with
work
both
on
hands.
your craft.
A lot of times I've seen you, and I've thought to myself, if only he should just shift, move to the other hand, move to the other hand. You've got to change him up. This is not a right-handed crowd.
It's a skill.
It's not a right-handed crowd. That's the funniest thing you've said today.
Here's one of the problems. Here's one of the problems that I've got with analysis.
Yeah.
All right. This is what I figured out. We've talked about this before. How with soccer, the crowd noise is just this weird din of white noise, and where people are chanting and just cheering.
It's an experience, like Brian Bolillo said. It's an experience.
It's an experience. It's different, right? They don't cheer when they're. They do cheer when there's a rush or something. There are the normal sports noises, like people getting excited for a good chance or a good save or a good this or a goal or whatever. But there's also this din that comes. We had Dave Kroll on. And he's sitting here and saying, well, that's because people are having fun. And I'm thinking to myself, and I realized it after I left, I'm like, this is the same guy who hates the wave, who hates Sweet Caroline, but if you just pound on a drum randomly, like, and I know you've heard this before, Jim, like an ape. If you're just like an ape and you just pound like the wind-up toy, remember the wind-up toy apes that would play musical instruments? That's what you've got in soccer. And here's my problem. When they mic the announcers, they should turn down the crowd. They should turn down the crowd and the crazy stuff.
Look, they want you to feel like you're at home, but you're there, Dave.
I feel like I'm there, and the announcers are like the person next to me explaining what's going on, and I can't hear every other word because there's so much din.
Are you having trouble hearing the announcers, Jim?
Much din.
No.
Exactly.
when you focus on the game, there even the announcers sometimes are just telling you exactly what you're seeing anyway, and you're.
Yeah,
I think yes.
It's just about making Dave. If you want, I could really make you feel like you're there. I could show up next time and pour a beer over your head. You'll feel like you're right at the game.
I think next time at Dave's, when Dave does a comedy set, we bring the horns and everything in, and we just start chanting in the stands with everybody.
Actually, what you could
try to perform.
What you could do is you could show up to a gig, and or to my house. You could welcome at my house if you get past security, and just pour some urine on my head, and I'll feel like I'm at a U.S.-Mexico game.
Oh my God!
What are those horns called? By the way,
what the horns are called?
I'm lacking. Is it Venezuela or something? What is it called?
I don't know.
You know the long plastic horns?
I'm just used to kazoos. I'm a simple kazoo
guy. It's a vuvuzela.
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 Wish I had one of those on my honeymoon.
It can act as a rape whistle.
Yeah. So on the honeymoon was yours like a soccer game? Was it like a soccer game?
Like no scoring happened.
There was a lot of noise, but it ended in a draw, and there was no cheering at any point.
There was no.
I need to make one more point. Number 4.
Oh, let me just make one point because
you stuck your finger in my.
I could not
too many times, young man. Yeah?
Here's the one thing the announcer said. Did you hear this? Did you listen to the announcers?
No, I didn't.
Oh, stupid! The announcer said more than once. I think I heard it 9 times.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second? He played in the same soccer league as me and Brian.
Who's he?
Brad Feldman.
Okay.
So if I'm going to reach out to him, you better be careful what you're going to say now.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I don't know if it was Feldman or if it was somebody else, but they referred to people as getting their first goal of the season. It's the first game. It's the first game.
You never heard the Red Sox say first home run of the season?
Yeah, but they'll say it once. They don't say it 10 times. They don't say it for every guy's goal.
Boy, I tell you, Dale, I wish Diego called in at this point.
Yeah. I'm glad.
I wish Diego would call in and Dave hadn't have shown up.
Listen. If Diego calls in, I'm going to ask him about the kazoozie whistles and the kazoozie drums and the horns.
All right, so here's the other thing, guys.
Yeah. Is that number 4?
Pay attention going through the season.
Yeah.
So the Revs won the Supporter Shield last year, right? Don't expect that to happen again for this reason. They're in CONCACAF. The 4 teams that played CONCACAF last week all had games this weekend.
And they all lost.
They all the goose egg. You know what the tally was? 0. None of them scored. And they gave up 8 goals against. 2 of them lost 3-0. 2 of them lost 1-0.
Yet they won all their CONCACAF games.
Except for Colorado, who lost in the shootout, which was the best shootout. Did you see the shootout?
Fantastic, yes.
Hitting the crossbar with the goalie saves. It wasn't safe.
I'd never get a hit crossbar if I was in that.
So they're going to be tired, for sure. You're chasing these quick teams around, and 3 days later you got an MLS game.
So that brings up another question.
Yeah?
Which one are you going to take more seriously and put more effort into?
I know. Brian said almost take it game by game, but then I think you really want to win the MLS Cup.
But you want to win the CONCACAF. The MLS season's long enough. You don't need. Look what happens when you win the Shield.
Actually,
doesn't guarantee
you're already in the quarters, so you might as well throw everything into that.
Throw everything into it.
Yeah.
I think it helps MLS too. Yeah. I would be surprised if the executives at MLS are like, put everything into that game. Don't worry about the MLS games.
So I think there's 8 teams left, and 4 are MLS.
4 MLS. Yeah, you are correct.
The first game is next Wednesday. I will be there, Dave.
Where's the game
I will continue my goalie study.
What do you mean you're going to be there?
It's going to be a week from Wednesday at home at Gillette.
Really?
Yeah. Get us some good tickets, Jim. Come on, work your magic.
Get him some tickets.
I just saw the weather forecast for next Wednesday.
It's 30.
There'll be plenty of good seats available.
It's not going to be snowing, though.
No, but it's going to be 30.
Yeah. Not this Wednesday.
The week from the 10-day forecast. That's okay, Dave. It's like going to a Green Bay Packers game. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I think you should
go. I wouldn't go to them either. I wouldn't go to them either.
Get the tickets. I'll bring the urine.
I will try to get the tickets.
Right?
I got some.
You get the tickets. I'll bring the urine. Deal?
Oh, excellent.
He's going to sit in the middle of us.
Yeah. We're going to get to something interesting.
Don't we always?
Yes, come on.
Let's talk about this. I know you two are both chauvinists.
Great way to intro this.
What a great segue. That's beautiful.
From
the award-winning writer.
Listen, it's interesting. that you say that, but I don't hear any denials. Dale, did you hear any denials from them?
I haven't heard anything, Dave.
Neither one.
We're still
Especially
looking up
anything
the word.
knowledgeable from your voice today either.
Is that CH?
Is that like a massage against this thing?
Is that CH?
The U.S. women's national soccer team settled its. I guess they settled the lawsuit and they renegotiated the contract with U.S. Soccer, or maybe they just renegotiated the contract. Oh, they announced a new contract, which drops and therefore they dropped their lawsuit for equitable pay. Interesting story. They get $24 million retroactive, most of which will go to the players, be divvied up somehow among former players. There's also going to be a fund, I think $2 million for players who can seek grants as they restart their lives going forward or as they advance their lives after playing days. And from here on in, it's going to be equal pay. Thoughts, boys?
Well, first of all, you forgot the good news that they won the She Believes Cup.
Yes.
Which is very important.
What was a She Believes Cup? They looked like they had pretty good players there. I saw a game. I thought it was a pretty good game.
They won 5-0 for the championship, and it was very well attended. But Hope Solo is a very angry woman right now.
Why is she angry?
She's angry at the settlement. It should have been much more money. And she said if you read the fine print, none of it is guaranteed in the settlement.
Really?
That's her argument. Because I love Hope Solo, I'm taking her side on this one.
You're going to take her side based
just
on...
in case we have her as a guest.
Platonic love, or describe the love that you have.
It's all love. It's chauvinistic love.
Okay.
Do you feel safe at home, Jim?
I think if we're going to get her as a guest, we have to talk nicely about Hope Solo.
Yeah.
She's never coming on.
After I talk, we're probably not going to get any of them as guests.
I'm
going to put my slippers on. I'm going to tread lightly here, okay? But this is what I'm going to say.
I think you should preface his statement at Paul's anger towards women's soccer. I think you're going to set this up before he goes into a diatribe here, because I can't wait.
I'm glad that they got equal pay, and I'm pulling for whatever money helps them. But this is just what I want to say. We're comedians, okay?
Yep.
The headliner gets more than the opener.
No, that's a terrible idea.
Is that not true?
Well, the headliner should get more than the opener, but the feature should probably be paid exactly the same as the headliner.
Why?
Well, because I'm usually the feature.
So this is my point, okay? Now, first of all, they always used to say that, they wanted equitable pay and the men are getting more, but they had different structures to their contracts.
Okay.
The men, I believe I have this right, it might have been flipped, but I believe that it was the men, if you were hurt and didn't get called into camp, you didn't get paid.
Okay.
The women didn't like that sound of that. So they basically said, if I'm on the team, I get paid for the year. So if I'm out for 6 months, or if I can't make one camp, I'm having a child.
Sure.
This is my contract. So they're totally different contracts.
Okay.
So they kept comparing it like it was apples and oranges.
Right.
The bottom line is the men's World Cup is similar to the NFL. Would you say the NFL is crushing the NBA in viewership?
Ooh, this is all right.
Yes.
Okay, it's 38.
Absolutely.
It's 38 to 14.
Yes, it's not even close.
Okay, the men's is similar. It's 3 times the viewership, and the men are in the men's tournament. It is a bigger tournament. So if you're getting more money, that's because you're the headliner. That's the biggest.
But don't the women have, in addition to having much more, I think that the difference is that women's soccer around the world is smaller than men's soccer around the world. But the women's national team is actually making, aren't they drawing bigger crowds? Aren't they drawing better TV ratings?
Around the world?
No, in the United States.
Okay, but that's like saying
the
Golden State Warriors are outdrawing the Cleveland Browns. But one is in the NFL, and they're different stratospheres.
They're not different stratospheres.
Around the world they are. Yes, in America, but their contract should be about what they're going into, which is the World Cup.
Right.
It's about, at the end of the day, the total numbers.
I think a better analogy would be, Dave, if the NHL players from the NHL, the minor league teams, sued for equal pay, they had to play the minor league teams the same as the professional, the top tier.
Is that because the United States has laws that guarantee equal pay for minor leaguers and major leaguers?
No.
I wouldn't care if they got more money. That's not my point. I'm just saying their argument to me is dwarfed by the viewership.
I think that, the viewership of the
revenue.
Ultimately the revenue.
The revenue of the men's tournament is a lot greater than the revenue for the women's tournament.
What would you say, about 10 times, I would imagine?
It's 3 times.
It's a lot.
No, it's 3 times.
3 times.
It's significant.
So, by the way, Hope Solo said, if you read that this is important on this contract, this settlement, it says, if you read the fine print, contingent upon negotiation of a new collective bargaining agreement. all of this settlement is based on that's what she's fired up about, is because they could get that money back in a collective bargaining agreement. So there's still a long way to go. Even though they settled this part of it, there's still a collective bargaining agreement that needs to be done. So
is she still involved?
Hopefully Paul is in charge of negotiating that.
Is she still involved, though, or is she some sort of...
Well, she thought the settlement was too low.
Right, but she's just commenting, or she's actually...
She's commenting.
Oh, okay.
She's commenting.
And
this started 6 years ago, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a long time, and I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like when both sides announce something like this, they're usually pretty happy about it. They're pretty optimistic that everything's going to get taken care of the way that they, there are agreements in place that are going to be negotiated moving forward, but there aren't.
I hate to say I agree with Paul, but if it's based strictly on revenue, they should lose.
Well, if it's based, it depends on how you look at the revenue. If you look at the revenue that the women's national team makes, the U.S. women's national team get better viewership, and they get better. I think they make more money than the men, but the men play in a bigger league, as you're saying. They play in a bigger stage. The women are a big fish in a smaller pond. The men are a small fish in a bigger pond.
That's fair.
And so so depending on how you look at them, what the women's national team is doing is really significant. It's really significant because you're getting girls who are seeing that there's a path to pro sports and can see sport played at a really high level. So it's an important thing, and you can't argue that they're not more. Again, they're more popular than the men. They draw better than the men. The viewership is better than the men. That's why they argue.
Yeah, if you're a global company looking to advertise, you'd rather advertise in the Men's World Cup. But if you're looking to advertise in the U.S., you'd probably rather do the U.S. game that is at Gillette versus the men's game.
Now, could the WNBA sue the regular NBA for equal pay?
I know. That's the thing you're kind of inching towards.
This is where you're starting to inch towards that, right?
Yeah.
I think the WNBA is much harder. It'll be much harder it's much harder to make that argument with the WNBA because of
it is a collective bargaining. It would be in a collective bargaining.
Well, it's also is it I'm trying to think if they're structured as one league or are they structured as two leagues in which one league supports the other league financially? Because the WNBA gets a subsidy from the NBA.
Oh, sure they do.
And they're not making the money that the NBA is. They don't have the popularity that the men's game has.
Soccerhead New England gets a small subsidy from this, I believe.
Yeah. They do.
Real small.
Yeah, Jim, whatever Jim leaves behind in his
covers
wallet.
lunch.
Not mine. Maybe covers your celery and cabbage. But
just to throw a little fact out there.
Okay, we try and stay away from those.
One thing that this planet does simultaneously, that unites us all more than anything, is the final of the Men's World Cup. Simultaneously, nothing this planet does unifies us more than that. For instance, religion, Christmas Day. You say, well, the whole world's doing that, but they're doing it at different times. I'm at church, and the people in Europe are sleeping.
Yes.
When the Men's World Cup is on, it is considered the most unifying moment on the planet where more people are doing it at one time than anything else we do.
In the planet.
When they say doing it, just so you know, Dave, when they say doing it, they mean watching the World Cup.
Oh, suddenly I've lost interest.
with all the horns going and everything, Dave. That's what we do. You can't tell the history of the world without the Men's World Cup.
Okay.
You can't do it.
All right. As a societal thing, I'll say, all right, worldwide, that's true. More, and the Super Bowl is probably
also up there. Yeah.
Up there, but probably second. I think it is.
Well, this is crazy, but believe it or not, the biggest sporting event is
the World Cup final.
The Tour de France.
Is it really?
The Women's World Cup is fifth. It's still huge.
Yeah.
But the men's is second.
Well,
I've never watched 2 minutes of the Tour de France. Have you?
I did when Armstrong was.
Oh, yeah?
I was really, until I found out, obviously, why he was winning all those yellow jackets, but I did used to watch it. That was very interesting.
Then Jim found out and he just couldn't take the cheating. That was too much for Jim.
It was too much for me.
He's a moralist, this guy.
It was really a lot of exercise, too. Us keepers never run, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do. Speaking of the world, and speaking of the impact that soccer has on the world, the Russia invaded the Ukraine, and the reverberations, obviously, you've got Russian players, you've got Ukrainian players who play for professional teams around the world, and the fallout has. I mean, it's a crazy time right now. It's a crazy time, but just to see it now, how it plays out on the soccer pitch, it's been really interesting. I mean, I know it's been interesting in other areas too. Paul went and he got very upset. He took all of his neighbor's vodka away from him, brought it home to his house for safekeeping. But
along with 10 gallons of orange juice. I don't know why.
Jim, you had something about this. We were talking about this before.
Yeah, it's interesting how UEFA is banning the Soviet. There was going to be a game scheduled in Moscow or St. Petersburg, I believe, and it was obviously they said no way. We're going to move it to Paris, and the game's going to be played here
because universally Russia is seen as the aggressor. Again, Russia's invading the Ukraine, not the other way around.
Correct.
Okay,
and that's UEFA did that. And on the other hand, FIFA said that the Russian soccer team can actually still play in the World Cup qualifiers. They just can't play the national anthem or fly their flags. And now the Polish team, after that result, a lot of anger within the FIFA group, the Polish team said, we're not going to play them.
Yeah.
They're refusing to play the Russian team. Now, there's two schools of thought. Are you going to blame 18 soccer players for Vladimir Putin invading a country?
No.
And you're going to hurt the 18 players who've worked their whole life to play in this and blame them for invading the Ukraine? To me, I think it's asinine. And also, the owner of Chelsea was a Russian oligarch, and they made him step aside as running that organization.
Well, he can't get to any of his assets. They're all frozen.
Well, that's true, too. Yeah.
Well, you say this about, is it fair to the 11 soccer players? No, it's not. But was it fair to the German athletes in the 1938 Olympics that they were trumped up as, here's the wonderful, superior Germany, here are our Olympics. It helps a country gain momentum. It helps a country gain national pride at a time when it is menacing, or it's no longer menacing. It's now attacking its neighbor.
I just think we should keep them separate.
Yes.
Just because.
But they're not separate. They can't be separate. Think about how much pride there is when the U.S. hockey team won the gold medal for the first time.
Okay, but what about the team that ultimately wins the World Cup? How much pride are they going to have when there were only 3 teams in it? Because everyone was like, I'm not playing. Like, we're not taking something that this thing here should be handled on its own. Okay, I have a theory too. I think Trump and Putin are the same guy.
Okay,
it's just my theory.
Yep, they're both brilliant masterminds.
You notice that when one goes down, the other one rises. There's something going on.
Never seen in the same place.
I understand what you're saying, but you work so hard as a player, and this might be your one chance, and to have it thrown away because some madman attacks a country.
Speaking about
and it's also trickled to the NHL.
Yes, well, I don't think it's trickled to the NHL.
Vladimir Ovechkin, who's the number 1 player in the NHL, is now being vilified on Twitter by Hasek.
You called him Vladimir. What's his name?
Ovechkin.
What's his first name? I forget. I'm drawing a blank on names.
I thought
Alex. Sorry.
Honestly,
Alex Ovechkin.
I've watched him for years, and I thought his name was fucking Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, he's starting to feel it now. And then you have Russian tennis players, writing on cameras, stop the war against their own country.
Yeah. Now,
if Russia was dropping soccer balls on the Ukraine, maybe I could see it. But I don't understand how you can punish this soccer team.
Right. Then
I see what you're saying. But how they nip that in the bud is it's no national anthem, no flags.
I mean, Dave, where do you stop? Like, so Ben Schwartzman, let's go back and remove his podcast from our list of, and let's go into the art museums. Every Russian painting, get it out of here,
that's where
ship it back.
But that's the cancel.
There's pride in that stuff too. It'll never end.
Is Ben Schwartzman Russian?
He's part, I think he's Russian. Yeah.
Really? We should get him back on here.
We talked about that. I asked if he was wearing a wire. Remember when he came in?
I do remember that. I do remember that.
Speaking of wearing a wire and Russia and the war, we got to talk to Dale, our producer.
Well, speaking about missed opportunities.
Who had missed opportunity.
Yeah. What did I miss? I missed something?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, back in 1987, when Putin was 35, he was in charge of the KGB, and I worked at the American Embassy, and I was 22. We were out in a jog, and we ran into Putin. I didn't know his name then, but I believe his name was Dale Putin. That's how I got my name. We could have took him out then.
How close were you to him?
We were in Goom's department store. Look it up. It's right by the Kremlin. I actually have a video of it.
Wait a minute.
You were within 6 feet of him? Like you could have reached out and poisoned him?
Oh, absolutely, I could have.
Oh, more than that.
Probably 3 feet.
More than that.
Dale.
Dale was within 6 feet of him, and he took out his gun and he shot 3 times.
Yeah, we could have took out Putin back then.
He hit 2 mannequins and a lady selling perfume behind a counter.
Me and 2 wayward Marines.
I could see you as being sort of a Rasputin figure back then with a long beard, just mesmerizing.
This whole
everybody.
war would have been for naught if we had just taken him out back then, Dave. I feel bad about it now.
Who knows what would have happened?
I'm thinking of getting on a plane right now and trying to, take him out now.
I've actually talked to a Marine recently, and he said he's in the the reserves.
Yes.
Is that what you go after you've retired if you're a younger Marine?
Now you go in the reserves if you can't hack the full-time Marine Corps. Look ahead, Dave.
That's a different podcast.
He did
Most
5
of the people
years.
Dave knows are hacks. Anyways, continue.
He did 5 years in the real Marine Corps, as you like to say.
Okay.
But now he's in the whatever they're in.
The reserves.
The reserves. But he said if he basically said if I get the chance, if they're calling up to invade Russia, he goes, I'll sign up again. So
You've referred to it twice as the Ukraine. So the Russia attacked the Ukraine. Like where did
Ukraine.
the Ukraine come from? Is that? Am I
still-
not hearing this
I
regularly?
still-
Yeah, Dave's a college professor over there. Whatever he says goes.
As much as I want to believe Dale's story, I still think he was going to shoot Ralph Putin. And he was the owner of a convenience store that wouldn't sell him any vodka. I don't think it was a real Putin.
I want to know just one more time, what was the name of that store where you and your buddies went to buy clothes?
Gooms? Something Gooms.
Goons.
Yeah, Gooms departments. Gooms.
Like big and tall.
Yeah,
Big and tall store.
Yeah.
And you know what,
Goons.
Dave,
You
was
sure you weren't in
interesting?
Italy at Goombas? You sure you're not confusing these trips?
You know what was really interesting, though? You know what their commercial was, Dave? For
What's
Goom's
that?
department store. A guy using a chainsaw cutting wood.
Without eye protection. What's that about?
We do need to watch a game with you.
We have to watch it.
I
Why don't we
can't
go to
think.
this Saturday's game?
this Saturday. But we need to broadcast the televising of a game with Dave watching.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, that would
What's
be
that?
great.
It's
Just
televising
because
the
it
game?
would be an experience. Like I'm watching the center back, and you're like, well, this guy's not wearing good eye protection over here, Paul, with the chainsaw.
What is that background noise?
Why is Serena wearing a baseball cap?
I gotta say, I liked him walking around looking for his ball. All right, we gotta head for home for this one. We're gonna wrap up with this news of the world. As you know,
Actually, can I jump in for a sec? I just did a Google
This is
search
Dale.
on it. It's GUM, gum department store, however you pronounce it.
you
Goom. I did it right.
You
It's
wrote
GUM.
it. Yeah, and I was changing it to Goon with an N.
Yeah, right by Red
because
Square.
That way we could make fun of you. And then Paul.
I like Paul's Goomba.
Yeah, Paul's Goomba was good too. But yeah,
I don't want to offend the Russians because they might drop one right here in the North Shore.
Let's hope they don't. Anyway, Paul, if you're a loyal listener to this podcast, and we mean one of you, you probably heard Paul talking about he scours the planet like a tabloid reporter. You know, I had a friend who worked for a tabloid once. Do you know what he used to do?
He used to shine his awards after he won them. What did he do?
No, that was me. But I didn't shine. I didn't even pick up the awards. I would just have somebody pick them up for me. I was too good for that. I didn't care about awards until I stopped
He
winning
must have
them.
been busy. Huh?
Did you hear that?
What was
Paul?
this job? Like 2 days a year?
Paul, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? I didn't care about awards until I stopped winning. That's excellent.
So my point is, when he used to work for the tabloid, they had a whole thing where it would be like he would call, like for example, I would call Jim Ruberti and I go, "Hey, listen, Jim, you're pretty good friends with Reese Witherspoon, right?" And he'd be, "Oh yeah, Reese and I are tight." And I'm like, "Is it true that she's been?" And then whatever tabloid thing I want to make up, and he would say yes, and that's how I'd confirm it. He would be my source, close friend of Reese Witherspoon. This was not me. This was somebody I knew. Anyway, so Paul has been gathering stories from around the world, and you got one for us this week?
Yeah, so interestingly, my son told me that Gavi on Barcelona plays without his shoes tied. This is a new thing, okay? He's a nice young player that the kids look up to. So anyways, maybe it's catching on already.
Okay.
And by the way, since we first talked about Barcelona when we talked about Xavi as the new coach, they've been on fire.
Yeah.
This man can coach.
All right.
So, anyways, at a youth league game in California, okay, you make the call here, Jim. This kid takes a shot, a full volley from about 7 yard, right in front of the 6 yard box. His cleat flies off, hits the goalie in the head, knocks the goalie out cold. Ball goes in. Ref gives the shooter a red card out of the game.
Well, anytime a goalie's injured, it should be a red card immediately.
We have to protect the goalies.
If you hit, you have to protect the goal. I mean, even if he hit his head on the post, the net should be removed immediately.
So this is a little known rule. But if your shin pad comes off, if you kick the ball, supposedly it's a dangerous play. You're supposed to go get your shin pad, put it back in.
It's definitely a dangerous play.
So that's dangerous, but the shin pad's on the ground. So if your cleat flies off, I could see where the ref would say, you just injured the goalie because you didn't tie your shoes. Because you think you're Gavi over here.
Yeah. No, hilarious story, and absolutely get him out of the game. It's like throwing it at him at that point.
Yeah.
What kind of a kick was it that the shoe went in before the ball did, or the shoe hit the goalie before the ball got there?
It's distracting, I think, if you're a goalie and two things are coming at you.
And
maybe he dove for the shoe.
Oh, maybe he dove for the shoe. I can see that. I used to do that.
Hey, what's even better?
I used to see seagulls. Somebody would come down the field, and then there'd be like a bird flying, and I get distracted.
Are you ready for this? All right, Dave. Why do you think the Gavi doesn't tie his shoes?
I think I know this one. I already know.
I looked it up. I looked it up today.
I think I know this one.
Okay.
I don't really know this
First,
one.
from a young age.
Idea. Yep.
Gavi has played with his shoes unlaced because he doesn't know how to lace them.
This is a $1 million player, by the way.
Yeah. Second, it's also said that Gavi is so nervous before the matches, he does not manage to tie a tight knot.
There's a clip of his Nico, who plays next to him, tying his shoe in one of the games. I'm not kidding. We already have one pandemic, the COVID. Now we're going to have cleats flying all over the youth soccer fields, knocking out refs and fans. And
this is why you should always teach your child to tie his shoes or cleats or skates. Can you imagine if they played that way in the NHL? Skating down the ice. All of a sudden, the skate goes flying.
Dale, why didn't you think of this when you were in Russia?
What's that?
Leaving your boot untied. Pretend you're trying to kick one of the balls in the department store and it flies off and hits Putin in the head.
They had no toy stores. That's the most miserable department store I've ever been in my life.
I honestly feel special sitting next to someone who could have killed Putin.
Yeah, who could have.
You didn't, but you could have.
Yeah. You do know if you want to kill Dave.
I know where he lives.
You know what it'd be like?
You don't have two witnesses.
This would be like a short story where you put Dale in a short story of somebody who builds a time machine. They go back in time and they come back and they I killed Himmler. It wasn't Hitler. I got confused. The Nazis were still horrible, but not as horrible.
Right. I killed Bob Hitler. That's the guy you wanted me to get, right?
No. Did you go back in time and kill Hitler? No, I saw Hitler. We were shopping in the same department store.
Well, there was I don't know if you remember the show Hill Street Blues.
Oh yeah, great show.
Do you remember? They invested in a comedian, but they didn't. The comedian's name was Vic Hitler. Was the name of the comedian, and they invested in him, and nobody would go see him because his last name was Hitler. It was a great story.
That's hilarious.
I don't know how we got from Gavi not tying his shoes to that.
The Hill Street. There's nothing like a good cultural reference to a 1970s television show.
Yeah.
Who created that show? It was a famous guy.
Bochco.
Oh yes.
Right? Stephen Bochco.
Stephen Bochco.
It's very good.
He's going to come on next week. I got a text from my buddy who said maybe next week. So we'll cross our fingers.
We'll just wait every single week. We'll have new questions for him.
We
should just talk about Diego every week anyways.
What we should do is go with the phone book and call an Alan Fagundes and have the same question.
You know what's interesting about Diego, which I really want to ask him, is so I played for a goalie in college. He was really defensive. So Diego's father is his agent. His name's Washington. He was a goalie. Then he played for Friedel. Friedel loved Diego. He played him center mid, remember? He made him the attacking mid.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And then Arena was a goalie. So he's finally now playing for a guy who played forward. When we grew up, Josh Wolf was the forward on the U.S. national team. And Diego's playing for him. So I really want to ask him, is it different? Are you given more freedom, license to go into zone 14 whenever you damn well please? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's good. Zone 14.
Dave's going to call his bed Zone 14 when Brenda comes over.
All right. At a certain point in every show,
Where all
you
the
two get out
scoring
of
takes
control.
place, Dave.
We've got to wrap this up.
Scoring takes place. You're either going to have a through ball or a shot, Dave. That's about it.
It's a slow dribbler towards the corner.
All right. At this point, it's a good idea. Probably, Dale, you want to shut off their microphones. That's it for this episode. These two are laughing like they've said something funny. You two, here's what happened. Never mind. I'm not going to get into this. Or she's our only listener, and she's not going to listen anymore because of these two louts. These two, I should say this, Dale, chauvinist louts. Anyway, moving on. That's it for this episode of Soccerheads New England. We'll be back next week. We'd like to thank financial advisor Rick Spencer. He'll speak to your group about college financial strategies. Call him at 978-857-7573. Don't forget, for fundraising, the Soccerheads Experience, email Jim Ruberti at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. For Paul Nardizzi, Jim Ruberti, and our engineer, Dale Lawrence, I'm Dave Rattigan. Thanks for listening. Please share, and we'll see you next time.